Hi everyone, it's Thursday night. Welcome to the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. Plenty of rugby to talk about this weekend, perhaps not as much as we would have liked thanks to COVID wreaking a little bit of havoc. We've definitely got one of the Super Rugby Unlocked games off, and who knows what else might not happen. One of the Autumn Nations Cup games as well. It's a bit of a disappointment that, but let's be grateful for the rugby we had, and we're going to get stuck into that and talk a little bit of betting in just a minute. Let's introduce you to the panel. I'm going to start off with a man who's back after a week off. He got stuck into the Stormers in a big way and John Dobson a while back, but they actually seem to have listened to him and performed quite nicely, and it's welcome back to the Conductor. Good to have you on, Conductor.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, it's always good to give the guys a good motivational talk. So it looked like whatever I said worked a charming against the Cheetahs. But no, thanks, Brent. Always nice to join you guys on a Thursday nights. And like you say, a couple of games cancelled due to COVID, but that's unfortunately the times we're living in. So we've got to sort of deal with that. But heaps of rugby still to come with Mitre10, Autumn Nations Cup, Super Rugby Unlocked. So a lot to get through.
Excellent. And then let's bring in Oracle Rugby now. Gavin Cohen, he managed to nip in at about 8 minutes to 9. Gav, great to see you back on the show. You were saying to me in the week that, this local rugby hasn't been easy to call. There's been a few unpredictable games.
Yeah, for me, I've definitely battled with this rugby, and I have to apologise for the guys that have been following me, if there were any. I don't know if there were. But yeah, I'm doing a packet on this. I reckon out of the 20-odd games we've had, or however many, I think I've only won about 4. So it's been horrible. If it wasn't for a little bit of horse racing and some other stuff, I'd be in a massive hole. But I just want to mention to the guys that are watching, first of all, say hello to everybody. I disagree with you and the Conductor. I'm not thankful for what we've had, and I don't believe it's got anything to do with the times that we're in. I think this debacle of South African rugby is an absolute shambles. They didn't do any planning with regards to. They know that exactly what the Conductor said is these are COVID times, these are different times. Don't try and stick a tournament into a tight little schedule, and then when something does go wrong, which we knew was going to happen because it's happened just about everywhere. I mean, NFL had all sorts of games that players that were affected and games that were affected. All they did was reschedule them. Nothing's getting cancelled anywhere else in the world. What the hell are we cancelling games for? Put them on a Tuesday night. They're trying to rush this tournament by January, the 23rd of January. I think that's ridiculous. What are we going to do after that? We're only due in Europe for Pro 14 or Pro 16 in August. We've got plenty of time to play this tournament. I don't know what the hell we're doing trying to finish games by the 23rd of January, and they think that it's acceptable to the public that they can just cancel games. And then they go and cancel some games, and then they decide, oh no, well, the Bulls are good enough, so that fixture can take place. I don't know if they felt sorry for the Pumas. I think it's a shambles, Brent. I think it's absolute rubbish. There's sponsors involved. There's people that are working at these stadiums. I know there's no fans, but they're stuffing around with people's lives. They're stuffing around with everything. And, I've had my rant with Super Sport in the past. I know the Conductor had a go at the Western Province team, and it obviously woke them up a little bit. But I honestly think the Oaks organising this tournament don't know what they are doing.
Right, well, there, Gavin making his position clear. I can't hard to argue with you. I guess I am grateful for the rugby, but I'm certainly not going to argue with you, Gavin. I totally agree with the organisation and the inconsistency of applying the rules and that sort of thing. Crazy times at the moment. Let's bring in Frank, who made his debut last week, and he was in pretty good form. I know one of his best bets was the Stormers -5.5, and they arrived with considerable ease. Good to have you back on the show.
Hi guys. Yeah, actually that's why I came back. I just wanted to comment on that Stormers Cheetah games with Oracle. Like we French like to be proud when we win something, which doesn't happen a lot. No, I think first of all, on a more serious note, I fully agree with what Oracle was saying. I think we were chatting about that off show before it started. If you look at the competition, the Autumn Nation Cup, if you get the COVID issue, you lose the game. So basically, it's a 5 point for the opposition. That's what happened for Fiji last weekend, and this is going to happen next time here. In Super Rugby in South Africa, you get a draw, or sometimes they just postpone the games by 1 or 2 days. And in French Rugby, which is actually a longer competition, they just reschedule the game. And actually, in the French Rugby, it doesn't make sense because we have a lot of cases, and now we are like round 9, and we have like teams that are missing 3 games already, and the schedule is so packed that it's going to be Cast, for example, is going to play, or Brive is going to play 3 games in 9 days. So basically, the one in the middle, they are going to trash it. So this is an easy 5 points for the other team. I think, it's unpredictable. It's easy to decide something, but I think it's just there is complete inconsistencies. Actually, in Super Rugby, you have a limited number of rounds. Just reschedule it.
Correct.
In France, it's the opposite. You have a long tournament, so make a hard call. Make the game lost maybe for the teams that cannot line up and it's just this inconsistency which is bringing, I think, a lot of pain. I think for the fan. I think I'm happy to have rugby back, but I think it's a bit of a tough one. And on personal note, I had betting wise, I had a good weekend, but I will call it a lucky one, because if you know a bit the result, I was on Bay of Plenty and Mitre that were 21 down. I was on the Wellington -24. They score on the buzzer. I was on the Canterbury train, my 4 a.m. Sunday game, when they were completely down, and they miraculously came back with a penalty slot. I think it was 45 meters on the side. So a good weekend, but definitely a lucky one. I was part of the Sharks nightmare as well, unfortunately, and a bit of loss in top 14 with Spo that lost against Toulouse. So a relatively decent weekend, but I would call it a lucky one.
Excellent. Well, there's quite a bit to talk about now. I must say, I watched that Canterbury-Auckland game, just the highlights. I didn't watch it live, and I can only imagine what you were going through in that game. It was certainly some tense stuff. Just a welcome, shout out to all the boys joining us on the live chat. I see quite a few of you are live already. Look forward to your comments and bets throughout the show. But let's get into Super Rugby Unlocked, and we'll start off with the Bulls against the Pumas. And I'm going to start off with Oracle Rugby here. Oracle, this game was to have taken place on Friday night. They've now pushed it due to COVID to Saturday at 2 o'clock. That means we should get excellent conditions for rugby. No, obviously no dew in that at that time. But we got the Bulls massive favourites here. I priced them up at 24.5-point favourites when I opened the Good for the Game forum thread. And I see we got 29.5 points. And if I'm not mistaken, you've already got involved with this game with a few of the lads with a few private bets.
Haven't had anything yet. They asked me if I was interested, and I said I was. We haven't settled on a number yet. The only bet I've got right now is with Henrik on the Wales game, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Sorry, I just wanted to say one other thing with regards to this tournament. So where it's got a little bit unfair as well by giving out these 2-point games is that, this now becomes Curry Cup points. These points have been carried over to the next round, and these teams are not getting the opportunity to play all of them. And I also read that I think it was on our WhatsApp group, that the Bulls might take it easy this weekend because they've already won the tournament. But this is not the end of the tournament. It's sort of it's like halfway now. It's like half time. They'd be silly to look at this as a dead rubber. I don't believe this is a dead rubber at all. The Bulls would be silly to think this is a dead rubber. They've got to go for it, and they probably will go for it. This is what I said to Chris last week, that, now we're starting to see handicaps that are getting a little bit higher. I'm not surprised this handicap's at 29.5. The Bulls have been a lot better than I expected them to. We didn't get to see the Pumas play against the Lions. I think if the Lions had smashed this team, this handicap may have been closer to 40. I've just got to... I'm going to have a small go at the Pumas here, and honestly, you cannot follow me because I've been so rubbish in this tournament that I'm probably going the wrong way again in this game. But I just think it's probably about right, and it is. They've got to score 5 more tries. I think what the Bulls may do in a game like this is get their bonus point, make sure they win the game by 3 or more tries, and probably take it a little bit easy after that. But honestly, I'm not spending a lot of money on this game. I'm taking it easy. I just wanted to say well done to the guys that called the Stormers right last week. I honestly haven't picked the Stormers correctly. I went for the Stormers against the Bulls. I went against the Stormers last week. But what I've also realized after watching a couple of weeks of the Cheetahs, I stand by what I said in their game against the Sharks. But last week they were definitely missing Ruan Pienaar. There were some flashes of brilliance, a moment here and a moment there. And in fact, that try that Speckman scored in the corner was fantastic. I think any junior rugby guy or anybody starting off their career needs to watch that and know exactly what to do in the corner. That was fantastic. But honestly, they got demolished in the scrums. I mean, I cheered on the WhatsApp group when the Cheetahs finally won a scrum. But yeah, they were camped out on the line. The Stormers' defense was very, very good. It's a pity we're not going to get to see the Stormers Sharks game this weekend, because that would have been quite a nice game to watch. But yeah, I'm a small punter on the Pumas plus, yeah, certainly at 29.5. I got to say, at the 24s or 23s, I'm not interested in any team. And if this handicap was around about the 19, 20 level, I'd be a Bulls punter.
Well, let's see what the conductor says about this one. Certainly the Stormers were improved. It is a pity we're not going to see them in action. But conductor, this is a big handicap. Gavin mentioned the way this competition's been run and the fact that this is potentially, it's not even a dead rubber. And I must say, I found it so confusing at the start. I've never really got my head around this comp, but there really have been some strange decisions made. How do you see this one playing out?
Brent, it's tough, man. I can't see how you can go forward with points when one game is cancelled, one game's a draw, one game's replayed, etc. So I mean, how's that fair to other guys in the comp? It's farcical. So I think they're going to have a look at it. I can't see how you can go forward and with those same points. It's just not fair to specifically guys like the Cheetahs who played the Lions with the Lions players missing. I took a speculator here on the plus 29.5 on the Pumas. I don't expect Jake White to take it easy, but I thought he might sort of rotate guys like Dwayne from Yellen, who's had a high workload in Super Rugby Unlocked, along with Mark van Staden. I see Morné Steyn is rested this weekend, so I think it's Chris Smith has come in at 10 there. So, but other than Morné Steyn, it's a full strength side. Hopefully, being on the plus 29.5, I hope that the Bulls do get their bonus and then do rotate the players just after half time. It's speculated because I didn't know if the Bulls would play a full strength team, and we don't know who the Pumas are going to play. Listening to Jake White this afternoon, he says, from what his understanding is, that most of the Pumas will be available. So the Pumas their game will go ahead. It was just a last minute delay to try and get as many guys in as they could for that game. So it is a big cap. I do like the Pumas. I do like Jimmy Stonehouse' teams. They're generally quite nuggety. They don't normally roll over too easy. So I'm going to stick on the plus 29.5 there. My other bet, I'm waiting for the points. My other bet that I like to go for is the Pumas overs. So I'm hoping for a 15.5 line. Then I'll take the Pumas overs there. 2 o'clock kickoff in Pretoria. There'll be heaps of points.
So I just want to say one more thing, Brent.
You don't really mind the slow start because then there's a good chance they'll get consolations. Sorry, Gav?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, let's not get too excited. This game may not actually take place at the end. They still haven't passed their final tests, which are only on tomorrow morning. They get one more COVID positive or some guy can't come back. I can't see. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if the Pumas go to them and say, listen, we'd rather play this game at another stage. I wouldn't be surprised if this game doesn't take place. They've moved it. There's been all sorts of stuff going on. I don't know. I
must have been holding back on writing the preview and that, because there's nothing worse than writing a preview only to post it and then find out that the game's actually been called off. Just see Crow Tips and Neil online, Thoughts on Sports, and of course both of them on Twitter as well. You can follow them there. Frank, let's go to you on this game. I know you were saying to me just before we came on air, you were hoping to have seen a Pumas lineup before making a call.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because in Europe, actually, the game is not even offered, so you cannot even bet on that one. The only one that is available for now is the Cheetahs game. I think the Pumas lineup hasn't been released yet because of the issue they were facing. If I'm correct, there was something like quarantine until today or yesterday. So I think they've been out of training, but obviously that may you never know how it's going to impact the team because they will have a moral boost as well. Getting out of that, they will want to make a point, to prove that they can compete. The Bulls lineup is really strong. I agree they may take the second half quite, let's say, to pull off the steam. But I think look at the bench they have. The bench is massive. Carr, I think Van der Merwe is on the bench as well. Papier as well, Steenkamp. The Swart as well is on the bench. I mean, the team is massive. Only Steyn is missing, but I think Smith at 10 is also a pretty good deal. So it's, to be fair, it's difficult to back up the Pumas here. On a normal context, I would probably go with the plus 28 or plus 29. But this is a game I'll probably, unfortunately, skip on my book, if actually it's even offered in Europe. But I don't think I will go for that one.
Yeah, not a game any of us are particularly confident on. Something I was looking at was the Bulls halftime handicap. I haven't looked around at the actual prices, but probably around 13.5, 14.5 there.
Yeah,
and I do expect the Bulls.
I agree with you, Brent. That's probably the safest bet is the Bulls minus. I'm gonna suggest that I'm probably more confident on that than the Pumas plus at the end of the game. But I wouldn't be taking the Bulls full time minus. I'm with Chris. I think it's either. Sorry, Frank. It's either no bet or it's Pumas plus for the full time. But I'm definitely interested in a Bulls halftime quote. I think that the second half will be a little closer, and I think that the Bulls will race to their 3-try lead. They'll probably get up to sort of a 15 or 18 point lead at halftime and take their foot off the gas after that.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking of. The only thing is I've got a very poor record with halftime handicaps. I've really got to think very carefully before getting involved in that one. But I'll certainly be looking at the total points line as well. Conditions should be good. And, the Bulls, when they do let off, when they do build a big lead, at some stage the Pumas of the sort of side are going to run at them and score tries. So not a game at this stage we're too confident about. Just a reminder that it's a link to the Good for the Game forum thread down below. And closer to time, myself and a number of the other guys will be posting their bets on this. So you can see that. And you can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We had a bit of a disaster last week. I won't harp on that too much. But the Sharks really letting us down there from a points perspective. Frank, let's stay with you then and move on to the next game. If the Cheetahs up against the Griquas, we've got another big handicap here, 18.5 points.
Interesting one as well, because I hate backing the Cheetahs away, but I think at home they are a different beast. I think you guys probably know it better than me. I was looking at the weather forecast. Looks like it's going to be a absolutely awful weather there. So I think that's may impact definitely the result. I mean, on dry condition, I will blindly go for the Cheetahs handicap because I think at home. They, as I said, they're a different team. I cannot see them butchering 3-4 tries every game as they've been doing, or probably for the last 2 or 3 games. So I also expect them to react. I think there were a couple of statements on the news that they want to finish top 4, and they still have this Pro 14 discussion going on. So I don't think they will take this one lightly. The team sheet, I think, a bit disappointing. I think a couple of rotation, especially on the back line. I think Small Smith and the other winger, like the strong guys, is not playing. So that's a bit annoying. But I will still go for the Cheetahs handicap. I expect them to jump back, but I will still wait. Probably I don't expect the handicap to change strongly, so I'll wait probably an hour before, just have a clear look at the weather forecast. I mean, you can play rugby with rain; it's not an issue. You can still score point with rain. That's not an issue. But if it's really too bad weather, I'll probably either skip it or go on the Griquas plus. But if the conditions are decent, I'll go on the minus.
Yeah, see, I handicapped this game 21.5, so the 18.5. Perhaps, if anything, I'm with you. I would also be going on the Cheetahs on the handicap. I'll probably be looking to the points lines here as well. Interesting, I hadn't looked at the weather yet. It's not often we get bad weather in Bloem, so it'll be interesting to see how they handle it. In fact, Sean Nicholas coming in and saying points there. That would be my initial thoughts as well. Sean, let's see what Oracle thinks of this one.
What does bad weather in Bloemfontein mean exactly, Frankie?
I have no idea. I saw on my weather app that it's going to rain 70%. So I said, I can tell you what's the bad weather in Clanley for the next game, Wales Georgia. But that's why I'm looking forward to hear what the weather will be. If it's a decent weather, as I said, I'm all in on the Cheetahs here.
Yeah. So last week I was happy to take minus 20 or whatever it was. The Sharks actually took some 11. I think it was 10.5 or whatever it was at halftime. Got murdered there. The Cheetahs game, I took some plus 11.5 at halftime. So, in fact, it ended up having 4 bets over those 2 games and hammered. But I got to tell you, if I was happy to take minus 20 about the Sharks last week in Kimberley, look, bad weather for me in Bloemfontein only means that it's probably something like, 25 mils in a 3-hour period. That'd be horrendous. I don't know. The other problem with Bloemfontein is it doesn't rain for days and days and days like it does in Cape Town and Durban. So when they have rain, they have it for an hour or two and it's over and the skies get cleared up again, and so they carry on. So, you'd have to have this weather pinpointed to exactly the time of the game. The weather guys are 5 days out, they're about 60%, 3 days out, they're about 80%. So yeah, to find out exactly if that rain's going to be at the time of the game, or maybe even for that matter an hour before the game to make it all wet, you'd have to take your bets sort of on Saturday. But at the same time, if there isn't bad weather, I don't see the bookmakers moving this handicap too much. I don't think they're going to be jumping to the 25s or the 26s or whatever. It's not going to happen. So I think you're pretty safe taking a Cheetahs minus here. I think they due a big win. I'm not too concerned about backline players. I think the Cheetahs have already lost Ruan Pino, which has cost them quite a bit. From a general, ordering their troops around, he was doing a very good job of organising the game, and he's not there. And I don't think anyone's taken his place. Well, I haven't noticed any, formats or anything that appears to be that they appear to know what they're doing. I'm going to have a go at the Cheetahs minus here. I'm not. It's not a big bet for me. I've been done by the Cheetahs over the last 2 weeks. So honestly, these 2 Super Rugby Unlocked bets for me are very small. But I do believe the right way to go is the Cheetahs minus. I wouldn't be touching that record. So it's Cheetahs minus or no bet.
Yeah, I'd also be pushing probably for the Cheetahs minus there. Just one guy I have been quite impressed with is the Griquas Flav. I think he's the standard Flav, the beer. I thought he's been very good, the bits I've seen of him, and when he started last week and he controlled things nicely with the boot. Conductor, any betting value in this game at this stage, or are we all waiting for the points lines?
Yeah, Brent. So for me, this game's a wait and see. I think Tim, I'll look at I'll look at when they cross over for the broadcast. I'll look at the weather's doing, and then I'll take a bet then. I'll line this game up as the minus. I would have been happy on the minus 20. I would have been even happy at minus 21. As Frank says, on a dry track in Bloemfontein, the Cheetahs are flat track bullies. So I expect them to make a bit of a statement, and I really expect them to play. I expect them to play very well. So I'll wait to see what the weather does. But if the weather is in anything okay, I'll take the minus 18.5 with a smile on my face. The Sharks did last week what I was so nervous they would do is they basically let Griquas into the game the entire time, not taking their threes. They turned down so many threes, and every time they turned down a 3, the Griquas must have been smiling because they just sort of turned the ball over and they kept themselves in the game. So, I think a team like the Griquas, you need that 1 or 2 early tries, knock them out, then it's the floodgates open. So I'll wait until the broadcast turns over, then I'll have a bet. But leaning very heavily on Cheetahs minus 18.5.
Excellent. As the Crow tip says, if it's dry, he's going for a 70-point plus game. So the weather's definitely going to be key here. You're going to want to see, and I think what good for the game should do is sponsor the conductor to go take a drive down. We'll put you on a bus to Bloemfontein on Friday night, and you can go down and give us a weather report. Or even though you're not allowed in the stadium, of course, you'll have to watch it from a pub outside with your mask on. But we'll send you down there. But interesting just to hear the comments of the Super Rugby Unlocked. All of us seem wary. There was nothing particularly strong came out of there at this stage. And I think it's probably just the way the competition's gone. But I've got a feeling we're going to have some stronger fancies as we go on in the show. Let's move on now to the Argentina-Australia match next week. And Conductor, I'll stay with you. First of all, Argentina, absolutely amazing last week against New Zealand. I think many of us got the game wrong initially. I was certainly on New Zealand to score 18 points or more at the break. By the time they kicked off, the line had moved out to 19.5. Once again, a classic example, just like Sharks tries for me last week. It's one thing to spot the value. It's another thing for it to arrive, because it's no use being on if it doesn't. And that was the case there. But what stunned me, Conductor, last week was I had to fast forward through the first half because I missed it. and I caught up at halftime. And I thought, this is a choice game, 16-3 to Argentina. It's choice. I wonder if I should back them to win the game. And I saw there was +6.5 Argentina. You could get 2-1 on the board at halftime. I wasn't as confident that they'd win the game, but +6.5, I couldn't believe it. I had my biggest bet of the weekend, and it pretty much saved my weekend. So great performance from them. And now, of course, they go in 5.5-point underdogs against Australia. And everyone's sort of talking, can they do it twice in a row? Because it's not going to be maybe, well, a lot of people are saying that they don't think the Argentines will be able to lift themselves twice in a row.
Yeah, Brent, well done on that +6.5. I must admit that took some stones, because I think the sentiment was, we saw that first half from Argentina, and we just thought they might just fade, not having so much rugby for so long. But maybe they actually had the reverse effect, that actually they were fresher. They hadn't played a lot of rugby, so the bodies could put in an 80-minute performance there. I haven't seen an All Black side so manhandled. I can't, I try to think the other day when they've been so badly physically beaten up. I know when they play the box, obviously it's a big physical challenge, but that one rolling maul where they took the All Black forwards, I think 20 to 30 meters, was a massive statement. So, yeah, I mean, Mitre and Crema were just absolute beasts. Mitre was just phenomenal. But, to the Argentina-Australia game, I think the big question is what mental state the Arg is going to be in. Was that their big statement? Was that their big win? Have they stopped drinking yet? I don't know. It's tough. If they can have 80 to 90% of that performance against Australia, I'd expect them to cover the cap, if not win on the board. For me, Australia physically is not going to match them, but Australia at home, it's in Newcastle, so it's not at a big. I don't think it's not at a big stadium. It's very close to the ocean. It's a difficult one for me. I haven't got any money, and I probably won't have a bet here. Argentina, especially with guys like Facunda, Issa, Cordero on the bench, is super exciting guys to come on. And I think Australia a little bit there at the moment. Really still trying to build a team. And I think Argentina might be catching them at the right time. So to me, this could go either way. Push on a bet. I'd probably take Australia for home ground advantage. They would actually know that now they would have seen what Argentina are going to bring. And I could just see there might be one or two slips from Argentina. That mental will come down against, once you beat New Zealand, there might be that mental drop.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. This is the sort of game that screams out to me 1 to 12 points if you fancy a team to win. I think this is going to be a close one. I'm even looking at the sort of either team by 7 points or less, around about the 5 to 4 mark there. Frank, interested in your views on this one? Can Argentina go back-to-back?
So it's an interesting one because, so first of all, I owe and apologize to Sanchez. I was badly criticizing him on the last show, and I can tell you, believe me or not, Sanchez, Matera, Kramer, they've been harmful this year in top 14 with Stade Francais, and they are completely different players when they wear their Argentinian jersey. I was not looking at the same players. So, So I also I was not expecting Argentina to do that performance, but actually I will back up Australia quite strongly on this one for two reasons. Because this is what I call the All Black win hangover. So basically, a lot of team, when they beat the All Blacks, and they play just quite soon after that, they don't produce their best performance. So it's going to be a very good test with Argentina. But this win has created so much coverage in Argentina in the rugby world. I'm pretty sure the players had to go through interview. There were a lot of things. I'm not sure where they will be mentally. You can tell me, oh yeah, Australia beat as well the All Black last time, but they got a week off. So they will go with fresh body. The team is strong. They're prepared. So I will back up Australia on this one. If this game will be the first game of the tournament, the handicap probably will be around 11 or 12 pounds, even probably a bit higher. So I think, it opened at 3. I think it was a decent value. I may not go for the handicap, but it's definitely Australia on the board, as it would be in one of my parlay, and I'll probably combine that with England, that I think we're going to discuss that later on. So I still believe they'll win today, and I have another bet from that because I am also betting Australia to win actually the the Tri Nation, if we call it like that now. I think the odds is at 220, because basically if they win this one, then the next time they face Australia, they go for the win of the competition. So if they win this one, I'm pretty sure they will win the other one. So I think, having them at, I think it's 220 European odds, it's a pretty good bet as well. So I'm Australia on the board here, and I'm also putting some money on Australia to win the competition.
Yeah, going to be an interesting one. I must say, I am leaning towards Argentina. I've got a feeling. Look, I think both teams are going to go for it, in the sense that both teams see an opportunity to win the Tri Nations for a very rare opportunity. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling that Argentina are going to surprise us and reproduce. But let's see what Oracle is going for you. Oracle, are we firing in with any confident bets here? I mean, I know you the one confident bet I've had is that I saw Conductor get up, and I'm confident he walked to the fridge. That's about it.
I just want to tell Frankie that Sanchez is not watching the show, so your apology went into thin air. He didn't even hear you moaning about him last week, so don't worry about that. And if he did, he answered it by scoring all of the points. So this is last week's game was a little bit interesting for me. I've backed Argentina to beat New Zealand on multiple occasions. I'm going to suggest it's probably around about the 10 mark. Nothing lower than I think the lowest I've ever taken Argentina to beat New Zealand's probably about 8-1. I'm kicking myself. I didn't take the bet last week. I was one of those guys that just didn't take it. I went over their points. My bet was done, I think, at the 20th minute or 23rd minute. Small bet. I won. But we watched the game. I watched it with my kid. And interestingly, we were at the stadium when Argentina beat South Africa for the first time. That was my kid's first experience of watching the Springboks live. I am going to tell you that I am going to do two things in this game. Sorry, I want to say one more thing. I felt sorry for the minus 12.5 punters on Argentina. And you may laugh, but there would have been a few. They may have got that as much as 100-1, 80-1, I don't know. But they got done at the end and didn't win by more than 12 points. And, the 1-12 arrived for Argentina last week. And, a lot of that game, never mind you taking the plus 6.5. I think the guys that went for the over 12 or 13 or more, whatever they call that bet, I take that quite often as well at massive prices, especially when I think a team can win by that. So that leads me into this game. I'm of the opinion Argentina will win this game. I think that they've solved their rugby puzzle. They've beaten everybody. There's no one left. This is not a Uruguay versus Fiji game where Uruguay were absolutely punch drunk and played the game 4 days later. This is a completely different thing. They've actually got a chance of winning this tournament. I'm gonna tell you to take Argentina to win this game. In fact, I'm going to go for the 13 or more. I think they'll thump Australia. But what I'm going to say is, if I get this wrong, which is obviously possible because my rugby hasn't been great in the last few weeks, I'm going to take a cover bet, and my cover bet is going to be Australia to win by 13 or more. So I'm basically laying the bookmakers 1-12 either way and chucking the draw in for free to them, because I'm not really going to get involved in any 1-12 here. I think this is 13 or more Argentina, or it's 13 or more Australia. And the Australian side of my bet will be an absolute cover of the stake I've stuck on the Argentina one. So I'm hoping not even to win that. But if I do, if Australia win this game by 13 or more, at least I get my stake back and I don't lose any money. But I think Argentina were fantastic last week. They bullied New Zealand, and I don't think Australia are ready for this team.
Excellent. So you're basically opposing me. I said it was going to be a close game, and you're laying the 1-12 outside there. Yes. Excellent. Well, let's move on then to the Autumn Nations Cup. We've got 3 matches scheduled, and Frank, I'm going to start with you on this one. Let's have a look. England up against Ireland, and we've got a 10.5 point handicap here. England favourite at Twickenham. Ireland, of course, winning last week fairly convincingly against Wales. England also winning by 40 against Georgia. But 10.5 points, is that about right?
So I think the handicap has moved. I think it was lower. Obviously, Ireland is playing without Sexton and Henshaw, so it's a double blow for them. So I was looking at the team sheet. Honestly, England is going with their best team. It's just they won't take prisoner on this one. They we all know that they love as well the Irish, as much as the Irish love the English. But I think in Twickenham, I haven't checked the weather forecast. It's probably going to rain. It's November in London, but I don't think it's going to be an awful weather. England will win this one, definitely. Will they cover the cap? I would probably say so. So as I mentioned earlier, I was taking this one with Australia. I think for me it's a good parlay, solid parlay. But I was looking really at the team sheet there. I think the England team is really strong. They have big cover. The pack is huge. The back line is firing. The bench is strong. Without the leadership of Sexton and Henshaw, so you're basically losing your two most influential player. Probably the third one will be CG Stander. Keep in mind Jordan Larmour as well is injured. Probably they're one of their best back. So I can't see the Irish surprising England in Twickenham. So for me it's England, and the question is by how.
How many? Yeah, I like England on the cap. I see Thoughts on Sports is coming in and saying he's just going to enjoy this game. There's easier money to be made on the weekend, and that's a sign of a disciplined punter who picks his matches. Of course, I've never claimed to be that disciplined punter, and no doubt I'll be firing into England on the minus here. I know Ireland beat Wales comfortably as far as points go last week, but I'm really don't like this way. I don't like Wales, and I just actually wasn't that impressed by Ireland. So yeah, I'm going for England on the minus there. I probably won't be my biggest bet of the weekend, but I am going to go for that. Let's see, Oracle, are you following me, or are we going to be looking to get a bit of a wager down?
No, I'm actually with Thoughts on Sports, Neil here. I think he's right. This game can play without my money. It's handicap's well set at 10. Part of me says that it feels a little bit too big. It's double digits, but. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Frankie's right. This is a proper English team. They're playing at home. I just want to point out to Frankie that it's not just November in London. It's November everywhere. I know that what you meant, but I thought I'd tuck that one in there. I've been to a November test at Twickenham. It was 16-15 to South Africa, or 17-16. I can't remember the exact score. South Africa won by 1 in 2012. I was at that game. Yeah, I'm not convinced on England yet. 50% of I think this handicap's well set. I think it's very easy for them to win this game by more. Well, not very easy for them, but they can certainly win it by more, and they can certainly win it by 6 or 7. I don't think Ireland will win the game, so I wouldn't be worried about that. But yeah, no bets on this game for me. I'll be watching it just as Neil is.
I must say, finding the best bet for the New Zealanders is looking tougher and tougher. Normally, I have to sift between 20 confident
Argentina no more.
Not this game for me. Conductor, are you going to change that?
No, Brent. I agree with what Frank has said there. It's England's first team versus Andy Farrell not chopping and changing. He's obviously trying to build a new team, because you need to move away from guys like Sexton, who's not going to be their 10 for much longer. So you've got guys like Ross Byrne coming in at 10. Jamie Gibson Park at 9, Keelan Doris at 8, Hugo Keenan, I think, is the Leinster guy. I mean, look, some of these Leinster players are phenomenal, but, it's a big step up from Leinster level at Pro 14 to international, and, against a very, very settled English side. I'll probably take a small little England on the minus. England on the minus here. I think they'll be too classy for Ireland. But it's at the exact same time as the Greek was Cheetahs game. So, I don't want to put too much down when I'll probably be a bit more on the Cheetahs game. So, I think England will be too classy here. The only guy I don't like in England is Ben Youngs. To me, he's probably one of the poorest scrum halves in the world, especially in top tier 1 rugby. You struggle to find a number 9 that's worse than him. I still remember his pass in the World Cup final where he threw it about 10 rows into the crowd, and he actually meant to pass about 5 meters away from him. So no, I don't rate him at all, and hopefully Robson comes on earlier. But no, I definitely like England there on the minus.
Right, well, step aside, Mr. Dobson. We've got someone else for the conductor to get stuck into there. So, yeah, I've got a feeling we're going to have some action on this next game, although I'm not sure that the points lines are still out. But staying with you, conductor, I know A lot of the boys on under 54.5 points, and I think Son of a Punt were there. I think Thoughts on Sports, Henrik, all of the boys on under 54.5 points in Wales, Georgia. Now, I'm not sure if those points lines are still up, but we've got a handicap here, which has come down significantly. I think it was 27.5, 28.5 Wales. It's now 24.5. Georgia perhaps targeting this game, maybe expected to give a good account of themselves. What have you done here, and what are you going to be doing here?
Yeah, Brent. I think if the guys have been reading the Good for the Game forum, I think the main theme, and I think even on Twitter, I think a lot of guys are looking at the under 54.5 as the main bets. The reason being is that, obviously we don't see Georgia scoring many points, and it is a sort of a very rotated Welsh side, very low in confidence. You can say that it is Georgia, but if a team on as a whole is low in confidence, it is what it is. I mean, that permeates throughout the camp. So they're not going to sort of lose quite badly to Ireland and suddenly have an absolute scorch the next week. It's possible, but it's unlikely. That it reminds me of that Springbok test against Italy. We had lost the week before. I can't remember who we lost to, and we expected to bounce back big time against Italy. Then we went and lost against Italy. So, I expect Georgia to target this game. They've got now a couple of weeks of rugby underneath their belt. I was saying to the guys in the group, I actually feel super sorry for them because they should have had a chance to at least play a bit of Six Nations or Seven Nations or whatever rugby, because they basically come into these competitions very, very with a lot of rugby being played. Now they've got a local comp, the Georgian Big Ten, but what kind of quality? I don't know what kind of quality that is. So it's up for the guys to come in. They've got some big boppers in that Georgian side, and I think they'll love that arm wrestle. I saw that one guy today. He's got arms like bloody tree trunks. So that it's played at Parker Scarlets in Llanelli. So it's not the traditional Principality Stadium for Wales. Apparently a bit of bad weather as well. Forecast with a bit of wind and high rain. High rain and wind. So a lot of wind forecast. So I expect it to be quite a messy affair. I think Wales will win. I know a lot of the guys are throwing out the Georgia pluses and maybe a Wales under. I think Henrik was looking at Wales under 40. That's not a bad bet. But my main bet will still be under 54.5. I think that's a very good bet.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. As I say, the bookies I've looked at now, I couldn't see any lines. I know that I was out for a substantial period, so there was plenty of time to get that on. Going to be interesting to see if the bookies have taken it down and what they bring it back at. I've got a feeling it might come in somewhere closer to the 50.5 point mark when they come back. But Frank, let's go to you on this one. Georgia, Wales, two of the disappointing sides from last week. Which way is this one going?
So I think first I was quite happy with the bet we took last week with the Georgia under. I think it is a great bet for one. One that was not won by luck. I had a very strong bet on the under 54. Obviously, if you look at that with an handicap of 24, it means you expect Georgia to score 20 plus. Again, I'm careful with what I'm saying because you never know. But the Georgia team, I will keep saying that they are rubbish. They are rubbish. They are not the Georgia team that was playing 10 years ago. So it's absolutely correct. The game is in Llanelli. That's actually an awful weather. Nothing you probably you experience in South Africa. This is going to be windy. It has been raining the entire week nonstop. So this is going to be a bit of mud battle. But my biggest bet is on the under, but I will not go for the Georgia plus even with the bad weather. Their pack is not as strong as people believe. The Welsh pack is still going to have to dominate them. They are really like now a tier 2 team. So they will do their best. They will fight. There is no question about that. But my biggest bet is definitely the under. I will keep an eye on the Georgia under points. Let's see what they give us this time. But if, for example, they will give us something which is below 12 or even 14, I will probably also go with that. The Welsh team is rotated, but you still have relatively, it's still a relatively strong team. Strong, confirmed pro player, which is not the case for the Georgian team.
Right. Well, and another man who was pretty happy with Georgia's great points contribution last week was Oracle. You were saying, give me a bigger price. I'll take Georgia under 3.5 points. And you were very confident about that one. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, I was looking for under 0.1. No one would give it to me. I just want to point out to the conductor who's suggesting that they're targeting this game, and maybe even you, Brent. You can only hit a target if you have darts or arrows. These guys have got no darts and no arrows. I don't care what they're targeting. They've got absolutely no chance. They're rubbish. The only thing will beat them here is the weather. But still, I'm with Frankie here. I'm a minus punter here. This could actually be my biggest bet of the weekend. Although my biggest bet of the weekend is not going to be very big, but this one may end up being that. I'm 100% with Frankie here. This Georgian team is absolute rubbish. The Americans have got a great word. They call it trash. These guys are trash. Big T, big R, big A, big S, big H, with a couple of big exclamations to follow that. They are super, super rubbish. So, yeah, go under Georgia with confidence. The only thing that'll beat this handicap, in my opinion, is bad weather. That's it. Otherwise, they've got no chance. This one's race over. Georgians are rubbish.
Bad weather in the net is always a bit different to bad weather in Bloemfontein as well. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen a game played there where there hasn't been bad weather. There's always talk about the bad weather there. But
remember, it's November. It's November in Wales as well, eh?
Yeah, that's it, exactly. But, you get a ground like, I've watched a lot of rugby at Twickenham, obviously year-end internationals and that ground just drains so well in that. But you just picture on this particular game, it's going to be a real slugfest. So interesting to see what the revised point lines are going to be. The Crow Tip's making a point here, and I agree with him. Wales tend to bring themselves down to the minnows level. And if you look at Wales' results over the years, it's not very often that
Hey? They can't go this low. They can try bring themselves down. They'll get stuck. They can't get that low.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too sure about that looking at this Welsh team. But let's move on to the next game, Gavin. I'll stay with you. Scotland up against France. This should be a cracking match. It's taking place on Sunday at 5 o'clock. And here we got Scotland, the home team, at plus 5.5.
No, France. Depending on how much money I've got left on Sunday, I'm all over the French. This handicap won't move. For me, the French will beat this. When Scotland was super good, 2016, 2017, I was all over the plus 6.5. I think they lost that game by 6, and I just scraped in. This Scottish team is nothing compared to the French team. The French team will win this game by double digits. This may end up being my second best bet of the weekend. I'm going to have to relegate the Super Rugby games to be the lowest bet. So, yeah, I do like France on the minus here. I may even take a bit of minus 10 or minus 13, get a bigger price, but I'm definitely on the French. I won't touch the Scottish team.
Right, let's go to Frank. To your opinion on this one, Frank. I must just say I'm on the French as well. I think they'll beat the handicap here. Always a bit worried about them when they travel to Scotland. I think they've lost something like their last 4 in a row, but I will go for the French on the handicap.
Yeah, as the premise, we are not doing that well when we are favorite, and we have a pretty bad record in Scotland. I think this cost us the Six Nations this year. So really interesting to see if they want some revenge on that game or not. I think it's same problem. We need to have a look at the weather here. It seems to be quite rainy in Scotland for the game. The Scottish back is actually pretty good. The French back line is 20 times better. They are still the line out hasn't been released yet for France. I know that Jalibert is going to get another 10. So basically, we will play with Jalibert, Dupont 9-10, which is probably the best offensive 9-10 pair that we have. Close to be one of the best offensive 9-10 pair we have in international rugby at the moment. Even if Jalibert still need to prove at the international level, but he's a cracking player. I will be more about either team to win by 12. But I will look at the weather. I need to see the weather if it's really rainy, and as well if the French team is as strong as expected. But with the Fiji game being cancelled, they should play with most of the best team. I know Ntamak is not going to play, but again, you swap Ntamak by Jalibert, it's like, yeah, it's gold versus diamond. So I will be still confident with France, but away in Scotland, we have a bad record there with a bit of rain. I'll be a bit careful. I need to see the final lineup and what will be the weather. Otherwise, yeah, the French team is quite strong this year.
I saw a bit of nodding from you there, conductor.
Yeah, Brent. Yeah. No, I agree with what he says. Yeah, look, it's difficult to sort of take into account that previous game in Edinburgh where the French prop had some boxing lessons. Yeah, he taught the Scottish players some boxing maneuvers there. And I think his court case is also pending for theft. What's his name? Hamas? I can't remember his name. Sounds like a great guy to have.
Yeah.
So that's difficult to sort of take into account. I mean, 14 men. I think they played for about 60 odd minutes there with 14 men. So I'm all in the French camp here. For me, watching that Scotland versus Italy game, Scotland just really just don't have any big boppers. They just don't have any big ball carriers. That Hamish Watson, he's a lot of try. He tries his heart out, but geez, yeah, man, they just lack a bit of physicality there. I had Scotland in a couple of multis, and I wasn't even confident there that beat Italy. It took a good second half for them to put Italy away. For me, France are really on the up. And I think, as many people would say, you don't want to actually back France when they're the favourites. You actually want them to be the underdog. That's when they normally play the best. But for me, a guy like Sean Edwards has turned that French defence around. They've got some absolutely phenomenal players in the pack and as well in the back line. As Frank says, we wait for the lineup. But if the French are sending their best team, it doesn't matter who Scotland put on the field. They're missing Hastings and the guy from Racing Metro. So Duncan Weir is their third choice fly-off. I know we like to support him because he's got a big throw and he's a funny guy to look at, but he's not anywhere near a guy like Jalibert or Carbonell or Intermac at that level. So the French are really got the tails up here. I expect them to cover the cap quite easily.
Right, it is unfortunately only the 3 games with the Fiji game once again called off. Really feel sorry for them. They would love to have had some proper international rugby, and they're just not going to get into it. We're going to move on now to the Mitre10 Cup playoffs. Gav, are you going to be hanging around, or are you going to be leaving us with your best bet and waving goodbye? It's your call.
Yeah, I'm going to say that my best bet is the Welsh minus, and if you want to add some extra interest in that game, just go under Georgia. Get your bookmaker to give you the lowest possible quote he will at the biggest possible price, and you'll win. Georgia don't have any darts. There are no arrows. They can't hit anything. No chance. So, yeah.
What line do you want? I'll take you on there.
On Georgia points or on the Wales minus?
On the handicap.
Okay. Well, I've had a 500 with Henrik at 27 or whatever. So I don't know. You want to do 24? I'm happy. Whatever it is now, I don't mind.
Let's go with the current cap, 24.5.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. We'll do if it's 24.5, we'll do a 24 Tino bet, even 500 if you want.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great. We couldn't say goodbye to Oracle without him getting a bet on the show. Gavin, great seeing you again. I hope you come right in the rugby this weekend, and in particular in Super Rugby Unlocked, and we'll see you again probably next week.
Yeah, so I'm going to suggest one more quick bet with you, Brent. You like Argentina to win the game. I like them to win by more than 13. So I'm going to suggest we could do a Argentina win handicap at 8 Tino bet. So if they win by 1-7, you win. If they win by 9 or more, I win. And if they lose the game, there's no bet.
That is an interesting one.
I should get a bit more.
Argentina, but they're not shouting them to win by more than 7 points. But let's do it. Let's do it for a bit of fun. Even 500.
Yeah, I'm happy with even money. I will suggest, though, that people shouldn't do the same thing elsewhere. I'm only doing this because Brent's my long-time mate. I should probably get a bit more than even money on this, but I'm happy with it, though.
Oh, is it okay? I don't mind.
No. I'm thinking about it. It's probably fair because I've got every other number. You've only got 7 numbers.
I've only got 7 points. I'm
happy with that. All right. So an even 500, 8 Tino bets. So if it lands on 8, none of us win. And if Australia win, then none of us win. Or a draw, none of us win. Argentina have to win the game.
And as Chris said, Georgia, it was Oracle joining us there. It's at Oraclepedia82 on Twitter. Right, that leaves the 3 of us. We've got a few more games still to get through. And let me go to Frank now and the Mitre10 Cup. And what I'll suggest is Frank, perhaps run through all 4 games. We've got 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and I can even, while you're talking, I'll bring up the betting, but you could just run through the games and give us your selections, and then we'll do the same with Conductor.
Yeah, so playoff time. So obviously I'm slightly less into handicap on those ones because, they don't need to take any bonus point. They just need to win the game. So basically I'm generally backing up the home team to win, especially I was on a parlay with Otago, Hawke's Bay and Tasman. I don't know why I was strange feeling on this Auckland Waikato. I think Waikato still is a strong team and they can surprise. Maybe Auckland is going to be a bit overconfident. If I need to play a handicap, I will go on the Hawke's Bay handicap because it's just a rematch. I don't like that. They played each other last weekend, but Hawke's Bay was rotating some players. They still grab a win there. A bit lucky, but still a win. There is a big rivalry between these 2 teams. I'm not sure if you follow social media, but Taranaki have been teasing Hawke's Bay like for 2 weeks in a row, and they keep losing against them. Hawke's Bay as well, they are playing with open doors, so basically free tickets, so you can expect a full stadium there. Nice afternoon, I think. They play in afternoon. I have to double check. Yeah, afternoon games. They are too strong for Taranaki. So if I will go for one handicap, I think it was 8 when it opened. I will go for Hawke's Bay handicap, probably my strongest pick here. But I'm still fancy rather Otago, Hawke's Bay, and Tasman on the board. That's probably the way I'm playing this one here.
Excellent. Just before we move on, just to wish Henrik and his wife a happy anniversary. I think they've hit their 10 years, and Henrik is away this weekend. He's starting to go away as much as our couch critic is there. Let's go to the Conductor, though, and get his views on the Mitre10 Cup.
Yeah, Brent. I like the playoffs. The guys take it a bit more seriously. I think we've seen in the Mitre10 Cup some weird results where maybe teams weren't taking it as they should. I like Otago to beat Northland there. A Forsyth bar. I just don't know if the students are still in Dunedin, so I'm not too sure what the crowd situation will be like. I tried to have a look on their media accounts today, but geez, New Zealand and social media is just 2 words you won't find in the same sentence. So it's difficult to find information in terms of their crowd attendance. But I like the Forsyth bar under the roof. Otago, who were playing a couple of weeks back, were playing scrum off at 10 at fly off, put this Northland side away quite easily. I see Dan Hawkins is injured for Northland, and I see this Matt Wright is now taken 15 away from Scott Gregory. It is a bit of a tricky one. I see the handicap was, I think, minus 10.5. It's now minus 8.5. So I like the minus 8.5, but I'd actually prefer to look at the points there. I think Jordan Flack said the points line is about 48.5. So I'd more preferably like to look at that. For me, neither of these teams are defensive teams, so I think they're gonna have to have a go at it. But my preference would probably still be that the minus 8.5 on Otago home game. Auckland Waikato, I try to. Auckland's missing TJ Faiani, which is a big loss for them. He's been a key player, but one of my big bets will be Salesi Rayasi to anytime try scorer for Auckland. He's been in phenomenal form for them. He can't stop scoring tries. Waikato, I think, might have a couple of injuries. I know Fletcher Smith hasn't featured for the last couple of weeks. Then they played Rivers Rihanna, and I think he got injured. So they played this Bodine Waka at 10 last week against Northland, and they came off second best. I don't know how much effort they put into that game, but I like Auckland on the minus here. Auckland have probably been one of the more consistent teams in the comp. Hawke's Bay, as Frank says, there should be a big crowd in there. I think they should take care of Taranaki. This is my strongest favourites of all the handicaps. I like their pack. Really, really strong players. I expect them to nudge them off the field. Tasman Bay of Plenty, that's a very tricky one. At a push, I won't be betting on that game, but at a push, I'll take Bay of Plenty on the plus. They've probably also been one of the teams in the tournament. They've really, the last 4 or 5 weeks have been very impressive. Where Tasman, I think they're just missing too many players to All Black duty. That 31, I think it was 31 or 36-0 loss at home against Canterbury was very bad, and I think they lost very, very heavily away to Auckland, in Auckland. So I wouldn't be loading money on Tasman here, even though they're the champions. At a push here, I'd probably take Bay of Plenty on the plus would be my bet here.
Right, just looking at Henrik did send me a WhatsApp earlier. He's very strong on the Hawke's Bay -10.5, and he has a smaller fancy on the Otago minus and the Auckland minus. So that's the Mitre10 Cup for you. Boys, let's move on. And there's still more rugby to talk about. Of course, it feels like just the other day we had the Gallagher English Premiership, and of course we've got the new season starting now. So what I'm going to do is same thing. Let's start with you this time, conductor. Perhaps just run your eye over the fixtures and give us your best bets on the card if you've had a look at it.
Yeah, Brent, Harlequins not a bad first starting 15, but light on the bench. But I won't go against Exeter here. I won't have any money on this game. We saw last season what Exeter's B team / C team can do. I mean, when they beat a first team Bristol at Bristol, it's very, very, very dangerous side. Sale Sharks, Northampton Saints, also won't be having a bet here. Slightly stronger Sale Sharks side. Saints missing quite a few players. I think it's a -13 now. Sorry, -11.5. This won't see my money. Bath Rugby, that's my first bet of the Gallagher. I've taken Bath on the -11.5. Very, very strong side, or as strong as they can do without the internationals. I still think they will put this Newcastle Falcons side away. Apparently, Brady mentioned that the Falcons haven't played rugby for, I think, 2/3 of a year. So I think there might be a bit caught off guard there. I try to have a look at their players. It doesn't look like they've got too many big names there that might sort of come through. So Leicester, Gloucester, also not too much feel here. Worcester Warriors, London Irish. I know the guys are very, very keen on very, very keen on the Worcester Warriors. I know a lot of the guys. Some of the guys taking -5.5. I know Brady's taking them on the board. I still probably will stay away there. And Wasps Bristol. There was a lot of value earlier in the week on Wasps -7.5. When that article broke that Bristol Bears are missing, I think, 16 starting players. I think a lot of guys jumped on the 7.5 after they saw that. I think it's now moved to 13.5, 14.5 at some point. So I like that. I'd probably still take a small bet on Wasp at that price. Nothing massive, but the value was -7.5. I think that Wasp side really played well towards the end of the year, and Jack Willis is back for them as well as Umanga. So Jack Willis is an absolute monster. So for me, he's massive for Wasps to have them back. So I'm all over that.
Yeah, I know a lot of the boys got on that. I think it was Jordan from Son of a Punt who spotted it first, and it could have been Thoughts and Sports if they're normally both watching these things at the same time. And the markets move very quickly, so you had to be pretty sharp to get on there. But the -7.5, it didn't last for very long. Frank, Gallagher English Premiership, have you looked at this? Have you got any fancies?
So Queen's Chief, I think I agree with what was said. It's actually not it's half a B team of Chief, because I think you have 6 or 7 starters from the grand final. The Exeter Chief B team will probably be top 3 or top 4. In the Gallagher Premiership, they are so strong. It's a Swiss clock. So I was initially favoring the Harlequins handicap. When I saw the starting 15, I was a bit less confident, and then when I saw the bench, I completely dropped that bet. The Exeter Chief bench is 20 times stronger than the Queen's bench. So if I will have to pick a bet, I will probably go with Exeter handicap. What I'm going to try to get in this one live, hoping for a good start of the Queens, and then I'll probably back up the Chief if that scenario happens. Sharks Saints handicap is quite high now because I think bad weather forecast. Strong team of the Sharks, but I'm always struggling to get them right. It depends on where they are in their head if they want to really push further or not. The Saints team is hasn't been great. Their friendly hasn't been good neither. But they do have a pretty strong bench and a pretty strong pack on the bench as well. So nothing that really pops up on this one. Bath Newcastle, Bath Falcon, I'll skip as well this one because I just have no idea about what the Falcons team looks like right now. No big names, but also no much changes. So in general, they probably are going to try to back some point on these early games. So the Bath team, I think there was also a couple of changes. This is the one I skip. Tiger Gloucester, so I'll be refreshing my internet browser at 1 p.m. My time tomorrow for the team sheet. I believe the Tigers are going to be stronger this year. They've made a lot of good signing, but there are too many players that are uncertain. A couple of guys are injured. Tofura is injured. But they have a very nice 9-10 pairing now with the Argentina. I think it's Diasponia, the name. Was very good with the Jaguares and Wigglesworth as well, coming from Saracens. So even with the Ford and Young on English duty, the 9-10 pairing will be strong. They have a good pack. They signed a couple of South African players. Gloucester lost as well quite a lot of players since Ackerman left. They are not as good as they were. Cipriani's time are gone as well. So I'm still strongly on the Leicester Tigers, but I just need to see the team. But I will probably go for them. Warriors Irish. I've been on the early Warriors train on the board. Again, there is half a dozen of Worcester players that are bracket for this weekend. So a couple of guys coming back from injury. I haven't seen if Hill was released from the English squad. They were talking about that, but I haven't seen the confirmation yet. So I put some money on Warriors, but I'll look at the team sheet. But the Irish have been absolutely awful over the past 6 months, so it's quite hard to put money on them. Again, they have new players coming, but I still fancy the Warriors at home to get the job done. Obviously, it's already an important game for the relegation battle, so obviously all eyes on this one for them. Beers, same story. I was early on the Wasp handicap, thanks on the call out on the forum. Now 13.5. I'm always saying, you need to look at the player missing, but you also need to look at the player playing. Bristol are also relatively decent depths in the squad. A couple of Wasp players missing as well. I think 13.5. Semi-final revenge as well in the air. I'm happy with the -8 that I took earlier, but I won't put any more money here, except if there is some very big surprise on the team sheet updates. Keep in mind that I think 7 out of the 8 team had COVID cases in their team, at least one player. So we don't know exactly how bad these teams are going impacted because they don't release the names. It doesn't look like there is a huge epidemic going on, so we're probably talking about 1 or 2 players in isolation. But my best advice is 1 p.m. Central Europe, 12 noon time UK time. Just refresh your app. You get the team sheet and you have 5 minutes to fire.
Right. Just an interesting one popped up. The Oracle saying if anyone watching is in Bloemfontein, and this will go for people watching the recording as well, please let us have a weather forecast potentially on Twitter or on Good for the Game. Funny enough, I don't know if I've ever spoken to anyone who's been on the Good for the Game who lives in Bloemfontein. I mean, we've got guys all over the country, all over the world, but I'm not sure we've got anyone in Bloemfontein. So it'll be interesting to see that one. Frank, I'm going to come back to you now on this. There is obviously rugby in France and that again on the weekend. Before we get into the best bets, is there anything else you fancy on the weekend?
Not really. Same story. No lineup released yet in France. And I've not been very strong. I was backing up Pau, doing the job against Toulouse. They got a good start. They completely collapsed second half, so lost decent amount of money here. I got saved by Bordeaux winning in Castres, but again, what cost? A try score at the buzzer. So you cannot really say it was a good bet neither. So nothing I'll call out on the top 14. Unfortunately, yes. It's probably fortunately for you, actually.
Sorry.
It's probably fortunately for you that I'm not calling on any bets on top 14 because I've been I got it wrong for the past few weeks and months since the restart, so I'm better out of it.
Yeah, better to take it easy then. Conduct, anything else from your side before we get into the best bets?
Yeah, Brent. Just in the Pro 14, I took a bit of Connacht at -7.5 against Zebra. Zebra are trying to be a bit more enterprising in terms of their play. I think they're trying to run a bit more, but I thought Connacht were just caught a bit cold after a couple of weeks of no rugby against Scarlets last week. They were a bit disappointing, but the previous games have been actually very impressive. So I like Connacht to do the job there against Zebra, to knock on there, then get a good win. Benetton to Viso against Ospreys. I haven't taken a bet there, but I like Benetton on the plus. I think you got +6.5 there. I think they started against Leinster, and then they had another game against a very tough team, and then they played Scarlets. They're 4-0, desperate for a win. Haven't been all that impressed with the Ospreys. Ospreys lost to Zebra in Palmer, so I like Benetton to try and keep it close there, and if not, when I'll probably take a little bit of Benetton on the board. I still don't think their team is too bad with Hayward. They've got their two big wingers. I think they haven't got a bad side. Kiki at 10, Diebel Dufanoch at 9. So I like their side. I also expect them to cover there. The other games I haven't had a too good a look at. Just that Brady, thanks to Brady, he brings up a lot of these things. I think Brady's actually spotted the Bristol thing as well. He brought us to the attention of the Leinster Cardiff Blues. Cardiff Blues have a bit of an injury / call-up crisis. I think they only have 2 fit loose forwards in the entire squad or side that they can call upon. The rest of the guys are going to be academy players. So Leinster -26.5. I'll have a small little flurry on that. They're just in absolutely cracking form. It just seems like whoever they rotate in their side plays well. They're playing with such ferocity and intensity at the moment. The way they put over Edinburgh was quite scary, so I expect them to carry on.
Right. Sorry, I hadn't even realised it was Pro 14 when I was scanning down all the rugby. Gee, there is a lot of rugby. Frank, I'll come up to you now. Feel free to throw anything in the Pro 14 and if you like, but then perhaps give us a couple of best bets for the weekend.
Yeah, nothing too much to add on Pro 14. Again, the lineup not released. I have to agree on the Leinster minus. Keep in mind that Cardiff played, I think, on Monday already. Next game they host Glasgow, so at home. So I'm pretty sure they are going to target this one. Quite important for the playoff battle. So I will not be surprised that they completely throw away the Leinster game. Leinster is Exeter. Their B team is almost as good as their A team. So you need to look at people that are on leave, but you also need to look at the guys on the field. Their new generation is absolutely fantastic. So I won't be surprised to have Leinster completely ripping off the Cardiff Blues side. Rest, no big confidence. Probably I'm also on the Benetton plus Ospreys. I think they started good, and since the first game they are being worse and worse every game. So back to the old habits, but I need to look a bit more on the lineup once they get released. Nothing that really pop out on the Pro 14 for me. So on the best bet. So I know we will have some disagreements. I really like my simple parlay with Austria and England on the board. I think it's almost pay at 1.8, 1.9 in Europe. So I think it's decent. I will also go with the Australian handicap for me. In Mitre, I said, my 3 home wins again, plus Ogbe on the minus. I think it's also a decent one. And obviously the biggest bet will be the under 54 on the West Georgia for the one. I know it's no longer available, so sorry for you guys that you couldn't take it, but it was on for at least good 24 hours. So if you're too late, you're too late. But I will also look at the Georgian point and see where is that landing. And if you guys tell me that it's going to be dry in Bloemfontein, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I also fancy the Cheetahs minus, because again, we were all firing on Sharks minus, I think, 28 or 24 last week when they were playing away at Greecas. So when Cheetah play home against Greecas, minus 18 now, 18.5 is not a big handicap on my book.
Right, and just to mention that we were talking about the 54.5 points. Of course, we're chatting about it now, and yes, it may not be available at the moment, but it does get posted on the Good for the Game forum, and all of you guys have got Twitter handles as well. So stay close to the guys on Twitter. Go down below. We've got the link to the forum, and make sure you subscribe to the thread, because every time there's a new post, as long as you've come back in, there's a new post, you'll get emailed or notified about it, and you can get onto those early prices. Let's get the conductors' best bets for the weekend.
Yeah, Brent, I saw a bit earlier that under 54.5 is still available in South Africa. So if you want to take it, go and have a look at some books there. I know it is still available.
Okay, excellent. I know it was I think Player Bets was one of the ones it was at, and I think Super Bets. Any others that you can throw out there where guys can get it?
I think those two will probably have it. BetX, I know BetExchange took theirs down. I'll have to have a look at guys like BetPlay, but I think Super Bets, and when I looked earlier, Super Bets and Player Bets still had theirs up. So
that's good news.
If you guys want to jump in, that's definitely my best bet. I expect it to be an arm wrestle of notes against the Georgians. I hear what Frank and what Gavin is saying. I haven't studied too much into the Georgian team. I do know they are quite proud, a proud side. So I know that the last two performances would have hurt them if they're rubbish, or irrespective of being rubbish or not. So I expect them to try and have an arm wrestle with the Welsh. And the point that Chris Rowe made, where they'll basically bring Wales down to their levels, very, very good points, make it very messy. And if it has been raining, like Frank has said, internationally the whole week, it's going to be very, very muddy, messy. It's going to be an absolute wrestle, and that's where I think the Georgians will actually enjoy it. Their big forte is the scrum and obviously the ruck and getting stuck into the dark arts. So I think they'll like that stuff. Second best bet would be Hawke's Bay. I just saw Thoughts on Sports, and I posted no Lachlan, and I look on their Instagram accounts, no Lachlan Bashir for Taranaki. That's absolutely massive. He is such a standout player for them. He must make at least a couple of turnovers a game. He's huge for them. So for him being out, the minus 10.5 is a hell of a gift. So my best bet's obviously Wales, and then once again the cheaters bet. If there's dry weather in Bloemfontein, I really like the minus 18.5 there, and I'll go points over in the game as well.
Excellent. Some nice bets coming up there. I was a bit worried at the beginning of the show we wouldn't have any confidence elections, but with so much rugby, we're always bound to. I'm actually being attacked by, I wouldn't call it a giant moth, let's call it a medium-sized moth here. Up in Joburg, we've got so many insects and stuff around at the moment. But guys, that brings us to the end of the show. It was another marathon, so much rugby, even though we have lost a few games due to COVID, and we're down to the playoffs in the Mitre10 Cup. A lot of rugby to talk about. First of all, just a thank you to all the guys in the live chat, as usual. Make the show. Lots of great contributions. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so. And go down in the box below. You can get links to the Good for the Game forum, and also our newsletter bet, which will be coming out tomorrow. I think you guys probably know what it's going to be, assuming the market is still available tomorrow morning. We'll throw it in, and we'll go for an ACCA as well, using some of the show's picks, although my run on that hasn't been particularly good. And then to my guests tonight, thanks to Oracle for joining us. And Frank, thanks. Great of you to join again. Always good to have your contributions, and have a cracking punting weekend.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
Excellent. And the conductor, great to have you on. A little bit tame's not the word I want to use. You weren't quite as fired up in your criticism, although Ben Young certainly took a bit of stick, but it was nothing compared to what was handed out to Dobson just a few weeks ago. But great to see you, and have a good weekend, and we'll chat over the weekend at some stage, no doubt.
Thanks, Brent. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Let me just bring up the Crow Tips' best bets there. Thanks for sharing, bringing his bets up on screen. And good luck to everyone. Have a good weekend. I shouldn't say good luck, because punters don't wish each other good luck. Have a good weekend. Break a leg, and let's hit those bookies hard.